Hey everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to talk about motion layout. A motion layout which is added as a subclass to constraint layout from 2.0 onwards. So if you haven't updated to the constraint layout 2.0, then update it to the 2.0 version. Okay, now let me talk about motion layout. Motion layout is a subclass, as I said, for constraint layout. So if you already know how to align the views, then you do not have to learn about alignment once again, because all those concepts remain same here also. The added feature is animation. So you can not just align the views now, but you can also animate them. And all this animation is something which you can define through the declarative style. No need to have it in your Kotlin or the Java file. Your layout is in XML and your animations also is in XML. You just define it where it should start and where it should end. Everything is taken care for you automatically. Let's get started with it. So switch to main activity and convert this constraint layout to motion layout. Just by right clicking on it, you'll get this convert to motion layout. The moment you convert it, you'll see something called as motion editor, and we'll see about this later on. Let me add a view first. Because motion layout supports lots of animation, so I'll start with the basic animation first and then we will go for the complex one, because if I add all of them to a single video, then this will be a very long video. So in this animation, what I'm going to do is that I have a view, say, of 140 dp, and I want to place it on the top to the top of parent, and we'll take it to the bottom of parent. Now one thing which you'll see here is that I'm not defining any constraint here. And the reason behind this is because whatever constraint which I'm going to define in the scene file, that will be overridden with whatever you write here. Because it's a very simple animation where a view will start from the top of the parent and will gradually come down. Okay, so now let me talk about the scene.xml. Now in the scene.xml, we define our animation. So by default, it takes about transition, constraint set, and transition is a place where we define the start and end of animation, duration for animation, and when should the animation start. Constraint set is a place where we define the constraint for our views. Now, as I said, that whatever constraint which you have written here, it will get overridden as soon as you write it here. So let me add a constraint for this view, where I want this view with width as, say, 140 and height as 140 to the top of the screen, and let me take it to the center, start and to the end of parent. So by this way, we define our constraint. What does it mean is that this view will come to the center top of the screen. Now you can see it in the design. I haven't given the constraint here, but still it is coming to the top, and the center is all because of the constraint whichever is defined here. And now let's also define where it should end up once our animation ends. Now remember, this ID you should not change. The ID at the start, end, and layout should remain same. And from top to top, let's remove and make it to the bottom of parent, and rather than 140, let me make it to the match parent. So the expected behavior is, once you start this animation, the animation will start from top, and it will take this view to the bottom, and not just taking to the bottom, it will also change the width of this to the match parent. Now let's run this animation. But before that, we haven't defined when this animation should start. Let me take it to the on click. So on click, I need to specify the target ID, like on which view should I tab on to get this started. And the click action, I can give it like toggle, jump to end, jump to start, transition to start, or transition to end. Let me give this to the transition to end. Now let's run the animation and see how well is it looking. Okay, so now we have our view. The moment I tap on it, it should animate from top and it should go to the bottom of the screen. And that was the animation. So you got all these things just by writing this little piece of code. Okay, so now how about changing the color? So as I'm animating from top to the bottom, why just to change it, like taking from top to the bottom? How about changing the color of it? So instead of this constraint, we have custom attributes. This custom attributes take anything which is having a set value, like a set background color. So we can give like background color, and then it accepts so many values like custom integer value, boolean value, color value, and here we need color value. So I want this to turn it to the dark color as it moves down. And one thing to remember is that if you are adding custom attributes for the end, then you should also add it for the start also. And the reason behind this is because if you don't add it for the start, then you see a pop kind of animation. The animation will not look smooth. I'll show you what happens if you do that. But for now, I have added this custom attribute to both of them while starting the animation and while ending the animation. Now let's see when I click on it. Now if I remove the custom attributes from the start, then you'll see some pop kind of animation. That will not be smooth. So for smooth animation, do not forget it to add to both start and end. And you can add any number of custom attributes. It's not like just you can add only one. So that's the problem with custom attribute if you do not add it to both of them. So do not forget to add custom attributes if you are having one or if you are having more than one. Doesn't matter. Add all of them to both the start and end of the animation. Okay, so that's it about this video, but before I close it, let me also tell you one thing, that rather than copying and pasting these things, you can also derive the constraint. For example, now most of the things remain same here, whatever I have it in my start animation. So how about deriving it from start itself? So by this way, I can avoid writing these things, and whatever changes which I need to do, I can define it inside the layout. Like I want to change the width to match parent and say that height instead of 130, I want it to 120 dp. And I want this to the bottom of parent. So by this way, we can avoid rewriting these stuffs over and over. Now let me run and show you. Okay, so now as soon as I click on it, you'll see the animation begins and start from top to the bottom. Okay, so how about even changing the way you're animating it? So like this transition takes a parameter called as motion interpolator, where rather than just having a smooth animation, you want to have say bounce or ease in, ease out. You can define all those things with the motion interpolator. Okay, so now when I tap on it, you'll see a bounce animation. You can also see like ease in and out, or can have a linear. So there are multiple motion interpolator which is available with transition. Okay, so that's it about this video, and in the upcoming videos I'm going to talk more on the different kind of animations which is supported with MotionLayout. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, then please do subscribe it, and do like this video, share it to your friends, and stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Thank you so much.